Hey everyone, it's me, Kirk Mastin, and welcome to another episode of What Makes This Photo Great, where I go over amazing community photos in the Mastin Labs community that may have been overlooked, or just ones that I really like, and I show you what makes the composition work, the lighting, and just kind of how it all fits together to make it a great photo. And hopefully you can learn something from this for your own photography. I love composition, I love going through photo books, and it's really cool to apply this to our own community. So here we go. Okay, so this photo is by Kyla Baptista. It is edited with, I believe it's Fuji 400H pushed 1 stop from the Fuji Push Pack. What I love about this photo, there's several things. One is that the composition just really works for me. She used a wide angle lens, I believe, to get all of this really nice, geometry in here, and as well as the dress. And you'll notice that we've got these great leading lines that come from down the stairs, up the stairs, both sides, and even her dress leading right to her expression. And that is great. These leading lines kind of going into the center of the frame really guide your eye. And this is where a wide angle lens really comes into its own. A lot of people will get a wide angle lens and just kind of go crazy with it. They'll, just because they can see so much with it. But a wide angle lens in the right hands can really open up compositional possibilities that weren't possible with a narrower field of view. So with this wide angle lens, we are bringing all of our attention to the bride's face, and it looks great. One other thing to notice, her head is turned to the right. That is very intentional because that is where the main light source is coming in through this arch. And it really lights up the side of her face and her arm really nicely. I'll let this line dissolve. But you'll see that the brightest part of her face draws you into her expression, even though it's just a small part of the overall photo. The lighting in this photo is great because we've got nice open light coming through these archways. The interior is nice and light, very light colors. And this light is actually bouncing off of this opposite wall to provide some fill light into the other side of her. So, great lighting, great composition, great expression. It's very interesting, beautiful photo. I love it. Okay, so moving on. We've got this photo, this beautiful black and white photo by Barbara Baroa Mazgaj. Your name is very unique and very cool, and it took me a second there to get it right, but I've seen your work in the group, love it, and I really love this photo. This was edited with Acros 100, which is a beautiful black and white film, and you can find that in the Lifestyle Everyday Pack. It's one of my favorite moody black and white looks, and you applied it masterfully to this photo. Because, sometimes people ask what makes a photo moody. What does that mean? People talk about light and airy, dark and moody. Well, to me, mood is a combination of two kind of critical factors. One is the emotion in the photo. So you can see her eyes are just really, they just really draw you in. They're very mysterious. And this expression right here is just pulling you in so deeply. If she was, like jovial, like smiling, laughing, or whatever, it just would not feel moody. So moody is about mood, obviously. The second thing is that it's got very subdued, kind of darker, moodier lighting. And this is achieved two ways. One is that you've got an interior shot by a window. That's kind of classic. We've got just window light coming in from the side. But it's diffused with this curtain. And I'm imagining that she's holding this curtain down below her, kind of like the photographer was like, hey, just hold that curtain, kind of, pull it across your face a little bit. And that diffuses that highlight even more. So there's no like real clear specular highlights, meaning there's nothing that's like pure white. Maybe right up here is the brightest part of the photo, but this diffusion really helps soften the entire mood. And I love the contouring of her face with this kind of darker background and this kind of singular light source coming from the window. We do have a little bit of fill light here. I'm not sure from what. Maybe there's a reflector on the other side, you know, bouncing a little bit of light back into her face, but it's beautiful. And the last thing I want to mention is this diagonal of this like kind of sheer material cutting across like directly through the frame is a really nice compositional touch because it keeps your eye towards the middle of the frame. You've got almost like a yin-yang kind of dark and light thing going on here. If you were to split this frame into two parts, you've got the dark side over here and the light side over here, and your eye is always drawn up to her expression. So really, really nice. And oh, and one last thing is even her jawline, I don't know if this is intentional or not, but it mirrors the line of the sheet going across her face. So I love this photo. It's very painterly and perfect use of Acros 100. Okay, switching gears entirely. Like you couldn't switch gears more than this. We've got a series of images by Miriam Hancock. These are just beautifully styled food, you know, kind of brand product images using Ektar from the Adventure Everyday pack. Ektar is a slide film. It's actually not a slide film. It is a relatively new negative, the color negative film that was intended to produce the rich colors of slide film. And the preset made from this really boosts the colors in this food and product photography and really makes them pop. One thing I really like about this series is that it reminds me, strangely enough, of something that Andy Warhol would do, where he would take one subject or one kind of basic idea for a subject and repeat it over and over and over again to kind of, you know, dive deep into his creativity and see how he could reimagine the same thing over and over again. So in this kind of study of red, we are taking some very simple objects, primarily these peppers, and just using them over and over again in different ways to create a lot of interest. So you got the pepper in the bowl, you got the pepper on top of the bowl, just turn the bowl over, put the pepper on the other side, and then we've got another bowl with a bunch of peppers in it. Very cool. We've got these like milk containers here. Those are used 3 different times with these metal straws with these slushies inside to give you completely different compositions. We've got, you know, tomatoes, watermelon, a cutting board. What's interesting is that all of the stuff in this photo, except for maybe this acai bowl here, is something that this photographer probably had in their kitchen already, or, you know, these are all very easy materials to get. And I just love the creativity in the set with just a few objects. So way to go, really cool. It's a beautiful study in red, and I really enjoy it. Okay, let's move on here. So we've got just your classic, like, sophisticated wedding image here from Sadie Alford. This was edited with Fuji 400H. It's kind of the king of light and airy looks. Fuji 400H film is just, you know, beautiful skin tones, very peachy, bright. It makes the greens kind of sage green, and it really works well with this photo. I don't know if this was styled or not. It looks very natural. It looks like they're having a natural moment, so I just love it. We've got, you know, kind of several layers going on here. We've got, you know, with that shallow depth of field, we've got a very, you know, prominent, you know, the main characters here, the couple, right? They're like in sharp focus completely, and they are pulled out of the background by this narrow depth of field. So this photographer shot, you know, wide open, probably with a 50 or 80 millimeter lens, you know, somewhere in that range, a portrait lens, to get this nice separation from the background. And a lot of newer photographers, they kind of understand this, but they will often overdo it, almost like make it too shallow to where you can't even tell what the heck is in the background. This is a nice mix. We are still seeing some detail in this kind of floral arch going behind them. It's not just like completely like little blobs of light. So that's a really nice separation. And then you can see that it's sharp probably all the way through here. So all this floor is sharp and they're sharp. And that's really nice. They kind of just pop out of the background, but it stays natural. Other elements that I really like about this photo is that we've got this beautiful kind of triangle happening here. Triangles are really, really powerful in photography. It really guides your eye around these key elements. So my eye isn't like kind of flying around over, along the side or anything. I'm not like looking down here at all. I'm looking kind of through this triangle, face down over. It's not even really a tip, but what you could do with this photo is you could just flip it. So just flip it to where she's on this side, because I read a photo from left to right. So I'm starting over here on this guy's face, and he looks pretty good, but this is really a mood right here. And so if my eye were to start on her over here and then go down to the hands and then up to his face, I think it would just be, I don't know, just 1% nicer, but I still love it. It's an amazing photo. It's really well done, well styled, and it's great. And this photographer was very smart in having the guy do something with his other hand. Classic posing move. It's really great. No one wants a weird, awkward hand kind of floating around off to the side. So great job. Okay, so we've got this photo by Sadie Crenshaw. This was edited with Portra, I'm gonna guess 400, possibly Portra 800. I'm not quite sure. Portra 800's got a little more color to it than 400, but they're both really good for kind of a neutral skin tone and just a very natural look, and it really works well on this photo. It's from a couple's shoot, obviously, but it also feels very natural. I love dogs, so I love how the attention is on this dog here. So this dog must be very, very special to them. The couple is dressed really nicely. The background is really neutral, like this field. It looks really good. And what's interesting here is that this photo really plays a lot with blue and warm tones. It's kind of in my last Loom video, or my last video like this, I talked about how in cinema they try to primarily focus on 2 colors per scene. So in this scene, the 2 primary colors are this kind of cyan blue that you can see in their jeans, and the warmth of this dog, and then this woman's shirt. So it's a really nice, 2 primary color image. There's no like bright greens or anything like that in the image to kind of distract from that, so that's good. Compositionally, again, we've got a triangle. Kind of. It's a near triangle. We've got a triangle kind of going around here, which is nice. So there's a lot of motion with my eye going here, over and over again, kind of through that area. If I was to improve this photo just a tiny bit, I would have maybe asked this woman to put her hat back a little bit further so that I could connect with her. Like if I could see her eyes or the top of her, her brow, or just something to connect with her face, it would bring her into the photo. But right now she's like, kind of like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Like a mysterious spy, because we can't see her at all. But this is from a larger set of images with a lot of different things going on, and you can clearly see her in the other images. I just picked this one out because I thought it was very interesting that you're making so much connection with the dog. So I love that about it. Again, nice soft light. You got to have soft light if you want this nice even skin tone in photos. You can't fake this later in Photoshop or in Lightroom or Capture One. It's not possible. So it's kind of like the old computer thing, garbage in, garbage out. If you have good light in, you're going to have good images out. This is really good light. So good job. All right, so we've got our last image here by Victoria Corvée. And this was done with Ektar, which is kind of interesting because, again, it's a super colorful film, but it's in a monochromatic environment. It's in a snowy, wintry environment. And so what happened when you use such a colorful look in a monochromatic or very like kind of low color environment is that the color that you do emphasize really stands out. So again, we're kind of going back to that cinema thing where you're trying to focus on, two primary colors per scene. These two primary colors are this kind of soft orange of this little kid's, like, I don't know, teddy bear suit. And this orange here matches this orange up in the, kind of the later evening of the sky. And then the thing that really stands out are his eyes. His eyes are just like, his or her eyes are just kind of this piercing blue from using Ektar. And by having less color kind of throughout the image, it really draws you into the eyes. Also, we're just naturally drawn to eyes, and he or she is like right in the center of the frame. It's great. This image has two other things to it that really make it great for me, and that is that we've got the 3 layers of depth. So this photographer managed to get just a little bit of like a pine tree in front that's out of focus, and then you've got your subject that's in focus, okay, in the middle. This is a really good use of shallow depth of field. And then you've got your background, which is turning into those little bokeh blobs. Bokeh? I've been a photographer my entire life, and still people are not quite sure if it's bokeh or bokeh, or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. The little blobby blobs from things that are out of focus, specular highlights. This 3 layers of depth sandwich your subject right in the center, and it helps you focus on it as a viewer. So it's just a really good, technique to pull out. It's pretty easy to apply, and this picture went from good to great the moment that the photographer did a little dip or dive to get that little bit of tree in front of this woman. So good job. Really nice composition, great light. Again, very soft light, and yeah, I love it. So yeah, those are my favorites this week. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you learned something, and yeah, I'll see you next time.